That's Syd Straw with Eric Ambel on Loose Talk from Eric's classic album, Roscoe's Gang. It's just one example of the many bands and artists Syd has performed with. A list that includes Pat Benatar, the DBs, the Del Lords, Dave Alvin, the Golden Palominos, Marshall Crenshaw, Dyke Parks, Vic Chesnutt, Wilco, Richard Thompson, and more. Syd's debut solo album, Surprise, featured a lot of her pals from that list, and her second album, War and Peace, was backed by none other than that fantastic and much-loved band from Springfield, the Skeletons. I hope you'll enjoy listening to this episode as much as I enjoyed talking with the one and only Syd Straw. You're listening to Frets with DJ Faye. No lessons, no technique info. I just talk to people who play guitar. Stay tuned.
No sooner do I put my coffee down.
Perfect timing.
Hello, Dave.
Well, Syd Straw, how are you?
Pretty wonderful from several angles.
I like that. Well, having this opportunity to talk with you makes me very happy. This is
early
fun.
Yet in our conversation, Dave. Let's see how things go.
How's the weather in Vermont?
Slightly a little, maybe slightly muggy compared to other days, but perfectly lovely.
Well, I'm always interested in hearing about someone's early years, and I know your dad was an actor, Jack Straw, but you not only spent time in Los Angeles, but also Vermont, which is where you are now. But this was from an early age. You were kind of splitting time maybe between LA and Vermont?
True. And also Phoenix, Arizona,
Oh, wow.
And also, different cities in Vermont. We kind of hopscotched around between warring parents, and then coast to coast. And it's also interesting because I love all of the places I've lived.
Your dad was an innkeeper in Vermont.
True. He left Hollywood. He said, this is crazy. He was making lots of movies, and he said, look, I want to buy this small inn in Vermont, so let's go. And then he went on ahead and bought the inn and then left my mother and 3 kids under 4, and I'm the baby. The aged baby now, of course, but still the baby. And she had to make her way across the country on her own.
Oh, wow.
With my troublesome brother and my the middle child's sister and me. And, of course, I was a perfect angel.
Of course.
I always loved to travel.
Well, were you, I got to ask you this, because I read something at some point. Were you friends with, even from high school or something, Taylor Negron?
Oh, yes. It's funny because I'm looking at a picture of him right now.
Oh, wow.
And he's really been on my mind. I guess has a birthday coming up, a heavenly birthday, as they say. And,
right.
But I miss him powerfully. And yes, I knew him. Well, I met him when I was 13 and he was 15. And we met on the National Honor Society field trip to the Type in Malibu. And I just love him to this day. And I actually took care of him when he was dying.
Yeah, that was so sad.
That was pretty heavy duty, good friendship, proof of life,
Yeah.
Proof of love.
I was just always kind of fascinated with him. I know was he like a cousin or something of Chuck Negron from Three Dog Night?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You got to check out, and your listeners have got to just goggle Taylor Negron, Moth, Charlie Manson, or something like that. And you'll get the funniest thing It's really so darn funny. I don't want to spoil it or anything, but he really was I knew him when he was Brad Negron, and then he became Taylor, and he was much the same, only, of course, different letters in the name. And boy, yeah, I really miss him. Heck, yeah. Oh,
Yeah. I just was always kind of fascinated with him as a character actor. My brother and I just spotted him. We were in line to see a movie in LA years ago. And I at that point had only kind of known him from like, bit parts, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, stuff like that. But then, I mean, even as recently, before he died, he was in a classic episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. I just always thought he was such an interesting, funny person. And seemed like his life was pretty fascinating. So anyway.
it's too bad you didn't interview him.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would have talked about me, but I like talking about him. And I want to do a show where I do some of his classic routines.
Nice.
Wouldn't that be fun as homage? Because we definitely affected each other's personalities. And actually, Taylor, more like Brad and Taylor, I would say at least 45, maybe 50% of his personality was borrowed from my mother, Barry.
Oh, wow.
It's true. And he knew it. But anyway, yeah, showbiz, you got to love it or leave it. And I'm so sorry that he left.
Yeah. Well, do you remember what music you were first drawn to when you were that age or even younger? Like when you were a kid, what kind of stuff drew you in?
Well, luckily, my parents played great records.
That's always a plus. Yeah, I had that too.
Yeah, I mean, we're really lucky. I think a lot of parents did have a great record collection, and it was not strange, was it? A lot of people had pianos in the house. That was not unusual at all. It was de rigueur, that's French. And, both of my parents were self-taught pianists and great singers. And, wait, what was the question?
Well, I was asking most about what music kind of first caught your ear.
Oh, and so Frank Sinatra, Barbara Streisand, Tony Bennett, all the great crooners, and a lot of Broadway, Man of La Mancha, Maine, Pearly, the all-black musical starring Melba Moore. Oh, Pearly, bring it back, bring it back. Oh.
What about...
And stuff like that. And then also on my grandfather's side, which we spent quite a bit of time with my grandparents, and he listened to everything from 1010 Winds Radio to Hank Williams.
Oh, nice.
And so just a lot of great stuff. And of course, the Beatles were ubiquitous.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a given.
Yeah.
When did you first pick up a guitar? You mentioned piano. Did you start out on piano or did you start out on another instrument?
No, I abandoned the clarinet when I was 7 or maybe 8. I abandoned it. My dad laughed at me really, really, really heartily and said, "Look, you'll never be any good at that and you'll get buck teeth. Don't play the clarinet."
From the clarinet.
And so I gave it up and we had a good laugh. But later I thought, I shouldn't have let him talk me out of it. But anyway, I picked up the guitar when I was about 30. And it was just because I couldn't find anyone at the unusual hours I've always liked to keep to help me get in palpable form a song idea. And so I thought I have to learn something so I can just do this on my own because nobody else keeps my kind of hours.
So self-taught? Did you just figure it out? Or?
Yeah. To the extent that I know anything. And then Mark Rebo, who's probably my favorite guitarist. I'll say probably. And so he taught me my first chords, as a matter of fact. And so I learned my first chords from a master. And then that was so fun. I kind of just stuck with them. And I really haven't moved on that much from my favorite chords.
That's a good instructor there.
No, really. And also ridiculous to hear him practicing compared to me practicing. It was, wait, what is it? Dollars to donuts? What does that mean?
I like it, even though I don't quite understand it. So.
No, I used to like to hear him practice but sometimes it would discourage me too, because I never had a goal like, let me catch up with the masters. No, just to be able to write some stuff on my own. And so, I probably need a new goal because I need to write some new songs.
Yeah. Well, I think you might have just answered a question, but so you said, I don't know, 30-ish, you wanted to play guitar. Were you already writing songs, or was that about the same time you started writing some songs, composing songs?
Oh, no, I had written punk rock songs and things a long time earlier, but didn't play any instrument. But it didn't stop me from writing quite a few pretty catchy songs.
Wow. So maybe in the 70s were you writing?
No, more like from 1980 on.
Okay.
And so those are good. Oh my goodness. A friend dropped by a recent show that I had in Boston at the beautiful Harbor Distillery, the Boston Harbor Distillery. And waiting for me in the green room was a little black bag with the 1/4-inch tapes, my very first recordings.
Oh, wow.
Crazy.
And did you just assume that they were gone, never to be found?
I never even thought about them, but my friend J.R. Ross, who died, he recorded us, and he also is the first person to record the Talking Heads.
Oh.
And so he was a legendary fellow and the first person to mix them as CBGB and to mix them live. And he was our darling, darling pal. And so he died, and now his darling friends are going through his archives, and they brought me these tapes. It's crazy. Oh, it's really, really lovely and very, well, it's evocative because, no, I don't remember being that young and lovely and naive. And, I was just darling, really.
That's very cool that those tapes were found.
I know, and that he just brought them to the show and then disappeared. It was all very mysterious. Yeah.
You left your journal just lying around. Did you think that I wouldn't read it? Well, I did, and I'm sorry, 'cause I know I let you down. But I really could not believe it. You're the stranger I live with, stranger I live with. How can I know you? How can I know you? Stranger I live with.
Looking to buy a guitar, an amp, pedals? Find great deals on all of these, as well as audio and recording gear at reverb.com. You can also sell your gear through Reverb. They have great articles about music gear and bands. And Reverb believes music makes the world a better place. That's why they created Reverb Gives, that provides youth music education programs all over the world with the instruments they need to make music. Link to Reverb through Frets with DJ Faye in the show notes for this episode. I don't know if you heard that. There was just a big dramatic crack of thunder back here in St. Louis. So I don't know. We'll see how that might be a nice.
Does it ever hit the arch? Does thunder ever hit, or lightning ever hit the arch?
I'm sure it has, and I should know that by now, but I don't know. That would be pretty dramatic.
It would. I wonder if it happens.
I'm gonna look.
I love that arch. I remember the first time I ever saw it, I was on tour for my very first time with Golden Palominos, and we played into St. Louis, and I saw the gleaming arch, and I just thought, wow, do people skateboard on that? What happened? I like that arch. Wow, that's beautiful.
It's something.
It is. It is. Do people that live there like it? Is it a beloved? Is it beloved?
I think it is. I think if I think a lot of people, unfortunately, just either just get used to it or whatever. But the whole how it was designed and everything, Eero Saarinen, the guy who designed it, the making of it was pretty impressive. Just even though it's very simple design, it was just kind of just this landmark thing. And it's just the gateway to the West, I guess. But I see it all the time because I work downtown. It's my real job
now.
I'm at home now. No, I'm at home now.
That's nice.
Well, what were some of your favorite bands in that era? You talked about like writing some punk songs, and like, were you all over the place, or did you have any specific bands you loved?
Well, you mean like 40 to 44 years ago? You mean?
Yeah. Okay, let's start there.
I love the Talking Heads. I love the Ramones so much. I love the Shirts. I love the Revlons. I love the Miamis. I love them all. It was great.
The minute you said the Revlons, my mind went to that great line. You had a band of your own called the Revlons, and I like their songs. You should
play that song, Dave.
That's what I want to play. Yeah, that's CBGB's is amazing, and I would love to include that. So we're going to work on that.
Oh, definitely, yeah. That's sort of become a signature tune. I've got to say, it's weird if I would not play that at a show. I would feel odd. I like it, and it's kind of different every time, and sometimes it's awful, and that's great too. So,
so I'm jumping around in different decades here, but
if I'm not confused enough by the passing of time.
So I'm going to go to So we talked about you spent time in LA, spent time in Vermont, Arizona. But is this right that after high school, you went to New York?
On the red eye on grad night.
Oh, on grad night. Oh.
Yeah. Everyone else went to Disneyland, but I'd been there many times. So I went to New York.
You were over Disney at that point. So.
No, I'm never over it. I kind of love it. I always love it. I'm not kidding. I still do. I remember how hard my mother had to drag me down Main Street when I was a child and we went for the first time. And I thought it was so magical. And I think that I thought everything was free.
Well, you got a gig singing backup for Pat Benatar. How did that come about? What was the story about? That was
cool. I used to sing at this club. I used to sing at comedy clubs in New York City when I was very, very young, 18 and 19 and I guess 20. But and I sang at a place called Catch a Rising Star, and so did Pat. And so her manager said, "Look, we're doing these shows at this place called Tramps. Will you come sing with Pat?" And I said, "Well, sure." So that's how it happened. And those were very important shows because she became famous during that run of shows. She was the toast of the town, and for lots of good reasons. And I was there billing and cooing in the background. And I had a great time. And that was a very interesting experience early on.
Well, speaking of great guitarists, her husband, Neil, is a really great guitarist.
I love him a lot.
Yeah, he's worked with lots of great bands, too.
Oh, yeah. I'm on a couple of records that Neil produced with the Del Lords and such.
Oh, yeah. Well, that segues right into the list of bands and artists you've worked with is quite long and very impressive, and such a great mix of people. And it's all people that I really love. I'm just going to name a few, like the DBs, the Del Lords we just talked about. And not just the Del Lords, but also Eric Ambel, Roscoe's Gang. We talked about that.
Great record.
Oh, it is. Dave Alvin, Marshall Crenshaw, and Van Dyke Parks.
Oh, true.
And you already mentioned Golden Palominos. You toured with them, too.
Oh, yeah.
You worked with Vic Chesnutt, right?
Oh, yes. We had a combo, just the two of us, called Sud.
And what was Sud?
The One Lonely Bubble, a Sud.
Okay. Lonely Bubble. I like that.
And also it worked if you were in Canada and headed south. It worked for South, too.
Oh, okay.
And we were in Athens, Georgia, because that's where I lived when I was married. And that's when we had our band. And we did some great recording together, but it got I believe it got erased in a sullen temper tantrum by the person who owned the studio. It's really too bad. Maybe a cassette will emerge, but it really hurts to be in a world without Vic Chesnutt.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a song about him that I wrote within minutes of learning that he had taken his life. I wrote a song called Your Chance, and that is going to be on my new record. It's very pretty. And it was my spontaneous combustion, my reaction to his death. So I don't always write that in the moment like that, but I have to say I think a very, very, very worthwhile song called Your Chance. You had your chance. I love, 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 love Vic Chesnutt. And I sang on a song of his called Sleeping Man on his record called Drunk.
Drunk, yeah. I saw years ago, there's a club, it's here in St. Louis now called the Duck Room, Blueberry Hill, but it used to be the old Cicero's in the basement.
Oh, yeah, famous joint.
Yeah, and years ago, a friend of mine and I went to see Vic Chesnutt, and they carried him down the steps in his wheelchair, and it was a pretty small club, still pretty small. But, he was just such an interesting songwriter in person, and it was so sad. I was so sad to hear, and boy, that's been years now, but I remember when that all happened.
Oh my God, it's so bad. Yeah. It's never gonna not be wildly sad.
Yeah. Well, you sang on an early Wilco demo that appeared years later on the compilation Alpha Mike Foxtrot. You did a cover of Ernest Tubbs' The TB is Whipping Me.
Oh, yeah, that came out on one of those beautiful, it came out on their record ultimately, and on a sort of gold box set or something recently. It's a great, great song. And boy, that was a really fun to record. I'm pretty sure we did that in one take.
Yeah. It is a great one.
I wish we would do it as Solid Sound, but they've never asked me, even though I live within an hour of that clam bake. Somebody talk to somebody, Sue, Jeff, what's going on? Hello?
If you're listening.
Is this thing on?
Well, your first solo album, Surprise, was recorded in several studios here in the States and also in London. And you collaborated on that also with many great artists who either wrote songs or performed on the album. Think Too Hard was one with Peter Holsapple, right?
Exactly. He wrote that great song, and then I sang it on Letterman, and Dave Alvin played it with me on Letterman.
Yeah.
And then I made a video of it that Diane Keaton directed. So I did a lot with that song. So, Peter, you should buy me dinner at some point.
If you're listening, Peter.
Well, it was some time ago, so I've been waiting a while now.
I don't know if you've had time to listen to the episode I just did recently with Peter, but he's an amazing person, and he had such great stories. And it was such a pleasure to talk with him. He's so upbeat and just smart, and it was a lot of fun to talk to Peter.
It's a good thing that he's in the world.
Yes, it is. I would wholeheartedly agree. Well, on Surprise, Marshall Crenshaw played guitar, Richard Thompson played, John Doe, a lot of great people. I would love to talk with John Doe and Marshall Crenshaw and Richard Thompson. I was obsessed with Richard Thompson's music. When I discovered Richard Thompson, took me down this path. It's just and I've seen him several times, and at least once or twice with Teddy, his son, too. But
have you heard his new record?
I have not. I need to fire that one up.
I haven't heard it, but I have heard Linda's new record.
Oh, I was aware that she had one also.
It's really incredible. And I just did a show for Linda Thompson with a lot of luminaries, and we just did this in New York City at City Winery, and we did Linda Thompson's brilliant new songs from her record called Proxy Music.
Proxy Music, I love that.
Oh, you've got to look into it. You really, everyone in the world, it's been getting amazing press, and for many, many reasons. And so we just did that. Boy, that was a real pleasure, that show. And so you should talk to her, but maybe she's tired of talking. She probably needs to take a break.
I was going to say there's a City Winery in St. Louis now. It's fairly new, but
Is there really?
yeah,
How's it doing?
I think it's only been open about a year, but they're getting some great acts there. Yeah, it's very convenient it's kind of right in between where I live and where I work. And yeah, pretty cool location.
My last show, I think I told you. Well, it was at Mississippi Nights, I think.
Which unfortunately is gone. It's
gone,
another great
gone,
venue.
gone.
Yeah.
I know, gone for a while now, but I was on tour. This is a long time ago, and with Poi Dog Pondering, and only about 5 people came out to listen to my show opening for them, and then like 500 people filled the place for Poi Dog, and it was funny. So then I sat on the tour bus, going, "Oh my God, I'm so useless," but I also wrote one of my best songs that night on the tour bus while Poi Dog played so great. And then I jumped up and sang the last part of the show with Poi Dog.
Oh.
And that song is called Almost as Blue.
And
That's
written right in St. Louis on the bus.
Yes.
Nice.
On the Poi Dog Pondering tour bus.
Huh.
And I was pondering the death of Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, that would have been, that timing, you're right. More from Syd Straw after this short break. Stay tuned.
And then, like in the summer of after my sophomore year in high school, I decided to be a guitar player. I was starting to really make progress in that sucker, and I guess I thought it was more a sexier instrument or something. I don't know. I didn't know that really in real life, most women go for the drummers.
D. Clinton Thompson provided guitar and vocals to the much-loved bands The Morels and The Skeletons. You can find my talk with the incredibly talented and often hilarious Donnie Thompson in Season 1 of Frets.
This is your pal Syd Straw, and you're listening to Frets with DJ Faye. Yes, you are. You don't have to explain why. You just are.
Well, I have a special affinity for the next album, War and Peace. Not only was that one not recorded in multiple cities, but recorded right here in Missouri in wonderful Springfield.
At wonderful Louis Bernard Whitney's studio.
Lou Whitney and one of my favorite bands of all time, The Skeletons, as the backing band.
Well, I feel like I was their backing vocalist. They're so great. It was, how I'm your fortunate daughter.
Well, Donnie Thompson was on here a couple of years ago. Actually, did 2 weeks. I think we could have talked all day. I had so much great stuff that I just turned it into 2 episodes. So he is something else. And
how is he? What's his life? Is he a happy Donnie?
I think so. And he just released an album after all these years.
That's what I thought. Yeah. He had new music out. How do I've looked for it and couldn't find it. What's it called?
It is called Donnie's Dream.
Donnie's Dream.
And it's wonderful. He does a Kinks cover, which I'm a huge
Which song?
Kinks fan.
Song?
It's kind of it's an interesting take on You Really Got Me.
Wow, really?
Let's see. I gotta look up. While we're talking here, and I'll just edit out.
Is it just Donnie, or is he playing with a band? Or
I think he did just about everything on it.
Oh,
I gotta find this real quick. Donnie's Mood. Did I say Donnie's Dream?
That sounds very Japanese.
Donnie's Mood. And he does this very interesting version of You Really Got Me. There's a lot of course, amazing instrumental guitar work on it. But yeah, I got to look again. I kind of think he did just about everything because, he He plays great drums, and of course, he's one of the most amazing guitar players I've ever heard.
No, of course. And you know what else? I wonder if I could talk him into playing with me.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Well, I mean, we haven't played on. We did 1 or 2 shows, just me and Donnie back then. But it's not our optimal thing, and it's nobody's optimal thing. But since we live and Joe's still alive, boy, I'd like to get together with both of them. And why not Eric Ambel too? I'd like to kind of do a sort of this century Roscoe's Gang, thing with all of us.
You got to
I
do
think
it.
it'd be really fun.
I want to hear that.
Oh, did I lose you, Dave?
Oh, no. I was trying to find my place
Dave?
in my outline.
Did I lose you?
Can you hear me?
Now I can. What happened? You are blew me off, man. You didn't like my conversational tone, and you blew me off.
I was talking. I guess it just wasn't coming through. That's weird.
Weird. Not that weird. I'm surrounded by very tall trees, and I wonder if it'd be better if I go outside and just let the insects feast on me.
However comfortable you want to be.
If it would help our conversation, I say, let them snack.
Let them snack.
No.
Well, I mentioned Wilco, but also on War and Peace, wasn't Static? Didn't that start as like a Jeff Tweedy? Was it supposed to be like an instrumental, and then you added vocals? Or I thought I read something about how that kind of came to be. It was a Jeff Tweedy song.
Wow, I'd love to read that. I remember that I was doing some recording with them, and then they all went to lunch. And Jeff, when he was leaving for lunch, and they kind of didn't invite me. Okay, so I stayed in the studio because it was ardent, and I said, and when he left for lunch, he goes, yeah, that's me, voice of a generation. And so then they went to lunch, and then I wrote this damn song and recorded it while they were at lunch with the engineer, and then they came back from lunch and I played it for him. So I'd love to read the part where it started out as a Jeff Tweedy song. He did say, that's me, voice of a generation. He did say that.
Maybe I have that. Well, I hope I didn't bring up a sore subject.
I don't feel sore about it.
Okay, that's the main thing.
And, if I owe him some credit, I'd love, to remember that. And I would love, if I'm in the wrong, please let me know.
Okay. I'm sure I'm going with you. I'm going with your account.
That's just because I'm on this call, but anyhow.
Okay.
And, nobody ever brings up that song, so a little controversy would be great for that song.
Call some attention to it.
I love it. Yeah, let's say that Jeff's really irate and wants to have pistols at dawn.
Oh my. Well, Million Miles, another beautiful song.
Thank you.
And that is it Jeanette? How do you
Jeanette Napolitano.
Napolitano. Okay. I thought that was the pronunciation, but I just wasn't sure. She was with
good enough for who it's for, as my dad might say.
She was with Concrete Blonde, right?
Exactly.
Right.
My talented friend.
I love that song.
Oh, thank you. Nobody brings that one up either, and I think it's really damn good. Now, she hates my version, I must say. And when it came out years ago, she hated it so much, she said she wanted to sue me over it.
Really?
And I said, wow, it's just a different version. I love our version too. But you know what I'm going to do is now, because it's been I'm not joking, I think it's been close to 30 years. So I'm just thinking of just putting it out for kicks, as an alternative version. An alternative version, which it is. And it's really good and it's really different. Oh, this is where my coffee is. Jeez, I've been walking around my house looking for it. And it's right out front where I left
I was going to
it.
say, I heard a coffee cup rattle. So
Did you hear my neighbor go by on
I
her
did.
ATV?
I like
That's
when you hear, I've had several recording sessions where, let's see, Deke Dickerson called me from a hiking trail and we had some interesting things. There was even an ambulance at one point.
oh, geez.
Donnie Thompson, I kept hearing this cat, and I thought it was outside my window. And I said, "Are you hearing a cat?" And he's like, "Yeah, we've got several of them here." It was his cat.
Is
Walter,
Donnie married, shacked up? What is
he
Donnie's life?
lives with someone. I'm assuming it's his wife, but I don't know her. He did refer to a partner that he lives with. So
Good.
I'll ask him that when I see him in September.
I don't know anything. I want to see him in September. Will I see you in September?
Oh, you know what else I wanted to ask you about? And this with Mark Ribot. You mentioned Mark Ribot earlier. I wanted to ask about your contribution to the tribute album, Ruddle's Highway Revisited, where you covered "I Must Be in Love" with Mark.
Isn't that a great record?
I
love
love that. Well, I love that record, but that is like, I think that has to be my favorite Ruddle song. I love that song. And I love
It's
your
such a
version of
beauty,
it.
isn't it? I love that version. I remember vividly the day we recorded it, and you can hear me rocking in the chair on that track because it's just us singing and then him playing, and then I'm rocking in this lovely chair, and that's the whole backing. So I like that recording a lot because I also love that song, and I guess that the Ruddles liked it too.
Oh, nice.
I heard that they did.
Oh, that's another one we lost. Neil Innes. I mean, there's so many people.
I know, a lot of all our heroes are falling too, to quote me. It's rough.
When my ship comes in, I'm gonna squeeze it in a bottle, throw it back in the water, and send it off to sea. When my ship comes in, I'm gonna break this holy bottle and christen the ocean to whom it may concern. I've waited all my life, and I'm waiting still, rooted to the spot on the steepest hill. They say that there's a way if you have the will. Of loneliness and fear, I have had my fill. When the ship comes in, I'm gonna squeeze it in a bottle, throw it back in.
Hey, I want to talk about Plug. Plug makes it easy for you to purchase the personal technology you need at 40 to 70% off retail pricing. What can you get from Plug? Certified pre-owned devices including iPhones, Androids, AirPods, Macs, smartwatches, accessories, and more. I originally didn't even want an Apple Watch, but I got one from Plug and I love it. I wear it every day. Your purchase is backed by their unmatched 1-year warranty and 30-day money-back guarantee. One more very cool thing, Plug is dedicated to helping reduce e-waste around the globe. To date, Plug has helped save over 1 million devices from reaching landfills, and they're looking to double that number by 2025. Link to Plug Tech from the show notes and enter code DJFAY to help support this podcast. Plug Electronics. Check it out. You contributed to quite a few tribute albums. Oh, and Richard Thompson. Is that right? Is there a...
Is this a quiz?
Yes, if it's a quiz on my part, I'm failing miserably, but yeah, I did fumble all over it.
Why don't you talk about something you know something about? I mean, let's talk about Kamala.
Yeah, that was a great conversation, Les. That was a week ago today, like right around this time.
I know. Can you believe it's only been 1 week?
Yeah, and now
Since
there's
the exciting change of pace.
And you and I were all like, what are we doing? What are we thinking? What's going to happen? And now I don't know. There's a lot of energy and I'm feeling good.
A lot of really positive energy, and I'm not going to fight it. I'm going with it and trying to magnify it. And I'm happy about it. The weirdest thing happened though when we spoke Sunday, and then I was sort of, it was like tripping. I was cosmically elated, and then the next day and the day after that, I kind of cold slap in the face came back to earth and realized how tough it's going to be and how we can't take anything for granted, and how it was such a relief to move on from Joe, and that I didn't even know quite what a clench I was actually even in, even though I knew that I was. It was such a relief that I got kind of exhausted as a backlash to the elation. And but now I'm just excited to get on board and see what can be done. And I wish I could sneak into the convention.
There's still a lot of work to be done, but I feel good, and I still love Joe, and he's still our president.
Yeah. And this will be great because he can just polish his legacy and do a lot of good stuff in the next 6 months. And pay attention to that instead of getting nothing done and, really going through an awful lot of strain for all of us. Yeah.
That's right.
So anyhow, I feel really pretty good.
I wanted to say one more thing about
music.
Can we? I'm going to bring us back to music.
Are you pivoting? I'm
pivoting. I have a way. Okay. I have a way of doing that.
Music, and I'd rather play it than talk about it, but this is okay.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say, we both talked about our love for Lou Whitney and the Skeletons. I also loved, speaking of tribute albums, on the Tom T. Hall tribute album, your cover of Harper Valley PTA.
That's with the Skeletons.
Yeah. I love that.
We did that on our day off when we were touring.
That's a great one.
We had a day off in Springfield, so we just quickly, because I was asked to do it, and I went, well, I know we wanted to have a day off, so we did our laundry. And also it was the 4th of July in Springfield, MO. And Lou and I went to this laundromat and did our laundry. And then we recorded Harper Valley PTA.
That's a great one. It's such a great version. Such a great cover.
That was the greatest 4th of July for me, probably ever.
Well, I could just talk
Laundry
about...
and Lou. Laundry and Lou. You could ask for anything more. I hope you can't hear that I'm brushing my hair. Is that weird?
That's okay. I like all this ambient, the noise I'm hearing in the background.
Thank you.
Oh, there was also The Adventures of Pete and Pete, where you played Miss Fingerwood, the math teacher.
This is all true so far.
But also
fact checkers say this is all true, Dave.
I think I'm right on this one.
Yes.
And you played bass in the Blowholes, which was such a great name for a band. And it was just so fun to go, to watch those songs. It was such a great experience.
I got Marshall Crenshaw in that band.
I saw that. Yeah. He's something else too. I've seen him at a couple of house concerts in recent years.
Oh my goodness. Marshall's just amazing every time. And when I think of all the songs that he's written, I've admired him since probably since I was in high school. And then when I went to New York, I think his first record came out and I listened to it obsessively.
Yeah.
And it was on cassette. And guess what? I have the cassette here.
I still have that. That was my first. I have that album on cassette.
Isn't it lovely with the sort of sherbet colors?
Yeah, kind of an odd saturated colors on it. I'm looking across the room here because I still have a pretty good pile of my old cassettes, but that was one of them.
I sang on one of Marshall's records.
Of course you did.
It's a song by Diane Warren. So, on one of the greatest pop songwriters and darling guitarists and friends and singers, he hires me to sing in Hollywood at Capitol Records to sing on a Diane Warren song. And it's called Some Hearts. And you know what? I saw it on The Voice. And they played my backgrounds.
Oh, wow.
On The Voice, and people sang the song. Isn't that odd? Is that even legal? Does somebody owe me a box of donuts or
I think you
something?
need to look into that. Yeah.
Oh dear,
Get on the
it's all
case.
showbiz is just a shaky, shaky town.
It is. Oh, you've told me a little bit about living in Vermont. What brought you? I know, you spent a lot of your childhood there too, but was there any specific decision, like I'm going to go back to Vermont, or how would you describe your life in Vermont these days?
It was, these days it's very, very lovely. I'm in love with summer, and I'm growing 4 kinds of tomatoes and 2 kinds of basil and some lettuce that looks a lot like rabbit ears. And I'm very happy doing not that much. I've had a couple of big shows this summer, and now I'm just paying attention to my 14-year-old, mainly deaf and blind dog, Massimo, and we're just having a marvelous time. And I'll be doing some recording coming up, and I'm about to put out a single called Take Back the Night,
Nice.
which is going to be, I think, a kind of late summer single that I'm going to just put on Bandcamp in the next day or two. And it's with DJ Bonebreak on drums and Dave Alvin on guitar. And it's really, really, really a fun track. I would call it inspired by some famous early feminists and their first actions of the Take Back the Night kind. So it's really fun and really rocking. And maybe I should send you that and you should include that.
Yeah, I would love that. I'm a big fan of Bandcamp too, and I have an account, so I will be on the lookout for that one.
Okay, good. Just trying to figure out what number, what it's, how to keep track of it. I forget how you call it. But it's worth a call to my friend, the Dark Bob, who, really was inspired to write this song. And it's really kind of exciting. It'll make more sense after you hear it. Oh, my goodness. The mosquitoes just found me.
Oh, are they?
I know.
They're on you?
Okay. I'll go back in. I'll go back inside. They can win. It's okay. I know I'm a lot bigger and it really is silly, but they can win. And I'm not just letting them. They really can win.
Yeah, they're bad around here too.
But I still, again, summer. Just yesterday, my neighbor Byron, my dear neighbor Byron, and my pal Byron, we were decrying that summer's so racing by so quickly. And because winters are really rather long and snowy and arduous around here, and don't believe anyone that says anything different. Like, oh yes, this was a mild winter. We only had 180 inches of snow. Okay, well, come shovel for me, and then we'll talk.
All right. Well, okay. Are you back in, away from the mosquitoes?
Oh no, I'm still here and I'm laughing at them.
Oh, you're just laughing at them. Mock them.
I am mocking those insects. Little vampires.
Well, Syd, thank you so much for doing this. This has been a blast. And
oh my word, it was easy, Dave. You made it. You make it easy. Eggs over easy.
That's my goal. Make it easy.
Well, you did it.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much. And
let me know what you're doing with all of these, little witticisms, and keep me in the loop of love.
All right. Thanks, Syd.
I'll talk to you, Dave. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I saw my name up on the marquee. They spelled it wrong, but it still looked good to me. I'm having that kind of career. I'm having a kind of career. Someone sent some big shot agent here to take a look at me, but he left before I even started.
Thanks as always for listening. Be sure to check the show notes for links to more music from Syd Straw and more about frets. Stay tuned.
No, I know. Okay. You're listening to Frets. How dare you?